Hello. Yeah. Hi. So today I'm Shauli from ITC, and I have with me Rahul from Ipsos and Rutu, and we'll be presenting a paper around how we unearth unmet needs of consumers in the out-of-home space when they are looking for packaged snacks. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, and why did we need to do this, right? And we all know the. Just if you could go to the next. Yeah. Yeah. So, what was the need to do this study? We all know how COVID had hit us, and we've spoken enough about it, and we know that it had hit and impacted out-of-home consumption in a very big way, right? But with the economy opening up, we did see out-of-home coming back. But we all knew that, despite this coming back, the consumer has not stayed the same, right? He has evolved and their needs have evolved, and we really needed to understand this consumer much better in order to be able to create products, create packaging, create probably more relevant communication which could cater to this consumer who has now very different needs from out of home. And having had this in mind, we thought we'll need to do a very deep understanding of the unmet needs for the consumer, and which is why we stepped into this research. And I'll now invite Rahul to take us through the methodology that we followed in order to get these learnings.
Yeah.
Over to you, Rahul.
Thank you, Shavli. The brief was very clear that we wanted to, identify the unmet needs in the out-of-home space. What we could have done a usual U&A, where we could have done a qualitative research to first understand the current habits and consumer behaviors through generating, list of attributes. We could have then done a quantitative research to using scale questions or MaxDiff to arrive at the importance of those attributes. But this would not have worked for us because in a regular U&A, would throw up only the existing spaces which are based on the current in-market products or solutions that are there already in the market. So to identify unmet needs, it would have been a difficult task if you had gone with a regular U&A. So what we did was we uncovered a better way to do it using system one thinking to open up consumers. So how we did was we used visual stimulus. Okay, so we used visual stimulus. Sorry. Yeah. So we use visual stimulus because we know that consumers react better to visuals. Okay, and through this unique technique, consumers were able to express themselves better. Their responses were more intuitive in nature, and they were able to express that emotional experiences which otherwise they would not have been able to do it using a scale response. That would have been a more functional thing. Okay, so at the end of this exercise, we had a huge task of analyzing the open-ends, the huge amount of open-end that we have generated. So we used text analytics to analyze this open-end data through structured way and quantify it. Okay. Yeah. So with a combination of visual stimulus, system one thinking, and text analytics, we were able to uncover the unmet needs of the consumers. And the jobs to be done framework is basically the key to this approach. And using this, I'm sorry, there's some issue. Yeah, so jobs to be done framework is the key to this approach, and using this we could discover consumers' world through their own voice. Okay, so we use a three-stage approach to arrive and prioritize the opportunities of unmet needs. So first, we identified the key consumption occasions. So we took two consumption occasions. One was most often and one was most recent consumption occasions. And these occasions were used as anchors for the investigation, further investigation. There is some problem. It's going. Okay. Second, we also looked at the comprehensive understanding of consumers' frustration. Why consumers' frustration was important? Because we knew that people were having were choosing a product and they were expecting something from that product, but they were not getting it. So it was important for us to understand the frustration from consumers to arrive at the solution for the unmet needs. And finally, we also understand the going in motivations. Okay. So how we understood the key frustrations from consumers? We showed a series of different pictures to consumers depicting the frustration and challenges. And consumers was asked to choose 5 images that represent different challenges they faced while consuming the most often or most recent product at the occasion. Okay, these were backed by free-form responses, which were very critical to uncover the new insights and arrive at the growth opportunities. Okay, so once they have selected 5 pictures, what we had asked a direct question to them, so that the respondents would able to describe why they have selected those pictures. So at the end of this exercise, we had collected vast amount of qualitative data, and we were also able to quantify it. So additionally, we also asked a scaled question to understand the extent of satisfaction from the consumer which they had for the current out-home product that they had consumed. We also elicited the going in motivations using the same the framework, like we asked them to choose 5 pictures to identify the frustration. Similarly, they were asked to identify the 5 key going in motivations, and again they were asked an open-end to describe why they have chosen that particular picture. Yeah, in terms of approach, the key and most important aspect for us was to understand the key frustrations. So how we did that? We clubbed all the free-form expressions, and after that we did a factor analysis to arrive at the themes, to dimensionalize and arrive at the themes. So these are the example of 6 themes that we had arrived at. Okay. So key thing for us was to understand nuancing the frustration with the going in motivation, because that would give us the levers to curate the solutions for those spaces. Okay. So once we had arrived at these 6 themes, we deep dive in each of those themes. Firstly, through decoding the frustration by analyzing the free-form responses. We also identified the So we also identified the key occasions at which the frustrations were felt. We also looked at the consumers who were over-indexed in a particular theme. We looked at the the product that they have consumed at that particular occasion, and finally we also did understand the key going in motivation. So going in motivation would be I wanted to have something with my friends, wanted to share a light moment with my friends. That is the key going in motivation for them. So this is one of the examples of the theme which we call break moment paradox. So the frustration arises when consumers have an FMCG product and they wanted to have it in a break moment, but they end up frustrated because of the repercussions like edginess and consequent sleep deprivation. So these are some of the visuals, pictures that they have selected, and these are the open ends that they have answered after selecting this picture. So it talks about, I feel like sleepy after, what is happening? Sorry. Yeah. So I feel like sleepy after eating it. I feel like I am not able to work if I consume it. Lack of sleep due to caffeine in coffee. And I feel sleepy when I consume biscuits. So these are some of the open ends that they have answered. Okay. So we also looked at the other demographic data points, like what life stage they are at, what is the gender, what is the age. So in this particular theme, this paradox was often experienced by mature working males with disposable income 50,000 plus, and they were belonging to Mumbai. So we also looked at the categories that they have consumed, because it is important for us to then arrive at solutions for those particular categories, because ITC Foods has a lot of categories. So it was also important to arrive at understand these categories, what all categories are over indexed in a particular theme. So like for example, in this particular theme, hot beverages are over indexed, and we also asked some question around the key Ws, so when they have consumed it. So it is mostly consumed it in mid-afternoon. So in addition to this, we also analyzed, looked at the motivations, the key going in motivations. So the key solve for this, break moment paradox was to understand the key functional motivators of energy and strength, and also the emotional motivators of friendship and sharing. So apart from this, there was some dissatisfaction within these consumers while they have chosen that particular product. So like in this particular theme, they were not very happy with the it being authentic or homemade. So like we have seen that hot beverages were over indexed in this particular theme. Yeah, so hot beverages, were over-indexed in this particular theme. So take an example of a tea or a coffee. So often people would want to have it in a customized way. They don't want too much sugar, or they don't want their coffee to be too strong. So that is why they were not very satisfied that it is being authentic, or it is being home-like. So at the end of this exercise, we could not only target the key consumers segment, the key frustrations were also identified, and we were also able to give potential solutions to in this particular theme. So now I would like to hand it over to Shavli.
So while there was a lot of information that we gathered for each of these themes, right? So we were able to identify that these are the 6 big themes that are there. And for each of these themes, we understood, verbatims about what is that exact moment of frustration, who is the person, what is he like. So, we had all of these details, and we had a lot of information. We had a lot of text which could be mined, and hence we felt really for this to be brought up and to be presented in a meaningful way to our brand teams, we had to really tell it in a way in which it could come out as a story. So the idea was to inspire them in terms of how to make packaging decisions, how to make product innovation calls, how to take decisions on what kind of communication they could take. So hence there was this need to bring all of this information together and tell it in a form and show it like a story so that it inspires action from the teams. And that's when we got in the Jigsaw team to help us with really crafting out a story for us in terms of what could be the packaging, what could the product look like, in fact what could a possible communication setting look like. So all of that was done by the Jigsaw team. So hence I will now hand it over to Rutu, who then took it on from here.
Thank you, Shauli, thank you, Rahul. So like, we had a lot of data again with us, and we were called in to actually make creative sense of the data, apply a more, storytelling angle to it so that we're able to inspire the creative teams as well as the marketing teams within the organization. How can these insights be made more applicable? What are the ways in which we can actually bring them alive? So our job really was to look at, this 3-stage process where we actually designed the user's persona. We had some quantitative data with us and we had some verbatims with us, but beyond that, how could we actually put that down in the form of a persona? Then we identified the key insight and the key need, and this was from the lens of how we look at consumers and what are really some of the motivations, the triggers, the frustrations that actually exist, and how can we hone it? How can we sharpen this into a key insight, a key need? And that then gets translated into a story. Now the story here for us is everything from product innovation to communication to packaging cues, essentially create some kind of a guideline document which can be literally taken forward immediately in the form of creative development. So giving you an example of this, we spoke about the break moment paradox. This is that typical refresh paradox where the consumer is looking for some kind of a solution at that point of time at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe exactly this time itself where all of us are feeling a little sluggish. What is one of the ways in which you could actually trigger a consumer at this stage? So let me give you an example of it from the theme that we developed. Okay, go to the next. So the user persona that we decided was, or designed was Gaurav. Now Gaurav, 37 years old, he's a workaholic living in Mumbai, works in an investment banking firm, very crazy schedules, very stressed. He liaisons with the US office and therefore he ends up working pretty late. He's required to stay up late. Sorry, previous one. Yeah. He's often seen taking intermittent breaks to grab a bite. Grabbing a bite is a way in which he keeps himself going through the day. And one of the things that Gaurav really wants to do is to find better ways to refresh himself and to keep himself motivated and going energetic throughout the day. The moment of consumption that we identify, the short-term stimulant here is the fact that after consuming his out-of-home snack, Gaurav actually ends up feeling very lethargic and sleepy and irritable. He lacks productivity and this results in his stress levels going up and the pressures are just mounting up. So what he does when he wants to take a break is he goes and grabs a cup of coffee. Typically that's what we all do, where we go and grab a cup of coffee. But the coffee isn't really the solution that this guy is looking out for. So because as you saw in the previous data, coffee is probably the only solution that's there in front of him, but it isn't something that actually ends up working because they end up feeling lethargic and jittery and stress levels end up going up. So how do we actually turn the frustration into a delight, right? What we've identified here is the root of his frustration being that he is looking for a better solution. He's looking for a more homely solution. He's looking for something more nutritious, something which is going to actually make an impact in terms of how his day would look like. So how can we turn this frustration into delight? What we did is we created this entire model, which is the next part, yeah, where we said that, let's create a storyboard and say that, how can we create the right kind of communication for a person like Gaurav. So here you have a storyboard and a scenario setting where the actual problem solution has been defined. Similarly, we created packaging cues where we suggested various ways in which packaging can be done, because now that we know Gaurav really well and we know that he's finicky and he's particular and he's nutrition seeking and he's somebody who doesn't like to probably, eat the kind of tardy snacks that are there. What we did is we identified various different kinds of packaging designs and we said this is the kind of packaging that will work with Gaurav. Also, what are some of the product innovation cues that we could look at? So products like, for example, decaffeinated coffee, tea, maybe a cold coffee in a canister, maybe, digestive biscuits without the use of maida, maybe ragi and amaranth. Those are the kind of ingredients that we could be looking at. Cold pressed juices. So various different kinds of product innovation cues were also provided. And finally, the communication cues. Communication cues was how can you go out and speak to the consumer so that it makes the maximum impact. So increase the benefit quotient, talk about the nutritional capability of the food, talk about how the product is actually going to impact the consumer in a positive way, and most definitely provide the communication at the time of the moment of consumption, because that's really where the trigger is the maximum, the pain is the maximum. So like this was just one of the themes that we identified, but like this there were multiple themes that were created by the Ipsos team and were given to us, and we illustrated them, we gave them a lot more meat and a lot more character, and we provided inspirational material to the creative teams at ITC. So over to Shauli again.
Yes, and like Rutu said, that for all the 6 themes, we had this kind of holistic understanding of the exact moment, who is the consumer like, what is he looking for, and also giving inspiration in terms of what could be the products that we could look at, what could be the kind of new packaging innovations we could look at, what is the communication stance that we could take, and this was done for each of the spaces, and that really inspired the team, and we have a lot of offers in, which we are working out on, which are in this space right now, and this really brought alive the data, because there are a lot of times that we do a lot of analysis, and because we are the insights team, we are really into the data and we are able to draw out a lot more than probably a 2-hour presentation would be able to disseminate to the brand teams, right? But to bring alive the data in this form, which really, brings up their creative juices, was something very, very useful, and it really went well. Thank you. Thanks a lot.